Hey, welcome back. Hopefully without all that horrible lens flare caused by my dirty hands. You have to understand that between talking about UFOs, I'm actually a sheep and goat farmer, and we've just recently had a whole flock of ducks who are really sweet, but I'm actually most of the time on my mini tractor digging out goat poo, so I can be a bit sticky. Anyway, David Grusch, thank you for your amazing comments, and the majority of you fell into two camps. Yeah, I'm onto something, the whole thing is bollocks, or you need to believe, well, whatever. I want the truth, and I'm open to both sides. But the classic comment I got, and I was waiting for this, is how come we don't believe David Grusch, but we believe you? Well, let me say something about that. I have not stood up in Congress with the Bible and said what I'm about to say is the truth, that there's aliens and crash UFO. No, I'm a science researcher and pundit. I'm just giving my opinion on what this person under oath actually said. And also, somebody pointed out that I'm complaining that there's a cabal of people making money out of UFOs. You're doing the same. Well, first of all, I'm not making any money out of this, and I'm just like interested in what's going on. So, no, there's no big bucks coming my way. But there's lots of really interesting comments, and the one that really caught my attention came from a patron, of course, and what he said was trying to justify David Grusch. It's Wiley. What does Wiley think? God, Wiley says she wants silver. Why is David Grusch talking about alien bodies recovered? Could the alien bodies be animals, non-human? What a smart statement. The early days of spacecraft were full of hapless creatures, she's back, who were sent up to space without their permission and sadly often came to a sticky end, of course. Was that what they recovered from foreign alien spaceships with non-humans inside? Well, it was a bit like me telling you the story of extraterrestrial material, which is absolutely true. I've worked with people, I've held bits of metallic asteroids. This isn't one, this is a rock from our garden, that people have re-engineered to find hidden secrets. And the other day I did a fantastic story for you about how an asteroid found in the 1950s in New Mexico can now revolutionize, now I hate that word, radically change battery technology. Extraterrestrial material from space. Alien, non-human bodies crashed. Well, that happened too. But there's a third thing that I've not talked about before that you really need to know. Some of it I'm about to tell you is a little secret, and it's come out because, as you know, I'm involved in this big Ransom Forest case with the wonderful US Air Force retired John Burroughs and a team of people doing research, and we've uncovered some amazing facts. So let me tell you a story that relates to UAP and is all actually about Ransom Forest. So, Ransom Forest, a small forest in Suffolk, where something was seen in the 1980s, nestled between two Air Force bases to the north, Bentwaters, NATO frontline nuclear material bomber base, where fighter jets controlled by USAFE, US Air Force Europe, would take off and battle the Soviet Union over Europe. And that's what everybody talks about. And the other base is called Woodbridge. No! Woodbridge is the key. Woodbridge holds more secrets than you could possibly imagine. I know what happened at Bentwaters. Do you know really what happened at Woodbridge? You might, but let me tell you if you don't. For a start, RAF Woodbridge is a cardinal east-west runway. Not north, northwest, not slightly south, east, west. Why? Because during World War II, the weather was atrocious. And if you were coming back to Britain and trying to land your B-25 at Swanston Morley, you didn't want to land at Dereham. They're 5 miles apart. How you found them with no GPS, with basic RDF instruments and dead reckoning? I don't know, in fog at night. So Woodbridge was built as a diversion base, and it also used Fido, the dog of war. Link in the description. Fido is burning petrol, gasoline down each side of the runway, heating up the air and lifting the layer of fog. So when you're coming over the North Sea, you find the British coast and whoop, just a mile from the coast are 2 big lines of burning gasoline. And you land between them, of course. RAF Woodbridge, Britain's diversion airport. That was why it was built, and there are pipelines and tunnels between Woodbridge and Bentwaters, which was used in the Ransom Forest incident later on. Now, the first bit of slightly secret information. You've all heard of Cobra Mist, the over-the-horizon radar built on Orford Ness. Orford Ness is a spit of land just to the seaside of Woodbridge. Cobra Mist faced east-west. No, Cobra Mist is totally a line down the centre line of RAF Woodbridge for a very interesting reason, which I can't tell you about. But what I can tell you is a little bit of history of Cobra Mist to intrigue you and keep you watching our Ransom Forest films, because what we've uncovered is really, really amazing. So Cobra Mist, this over-the-horizon radar, didn't work, or worked badly. And they attempted to fix it. Then a team from SRI, Stanford Research, came in and advised the US Air Force and the MOD, co-production, to close it down that day. The story goes that over 30 MOD technicians, radar and electronic technicians, were working the previous day, went home to Ipswich, we know one of these, drove into work the next day and was turned around at the gatehouse saying, "It's closed, you're out of work." And they went, "What? No, I work here. You didn't give me any notice." And in fact, they made a lawsuit against the MOD and the US Air Force to say, you really needed to give us just some protection. Give us a month's notice. Closing it down over... Why was it closed down overnight? And now, the big secret. While researching Orford Ness, Britain's secret weapons test site, I happen to have a contact that knows a lot about Orford Ness who told me this amazing story. And the story came out from a Suffolk garden centre selling shrubbery. I hope you're intrigued. Round all the aerials of Cobra Mist were strange American, exotic to Europe, plants in corrals underneath the base of each antenna, specifically planted, numbered, and there must have been some research going on. The garden centre knew they were there because the gardeners told them, and they thought, "Ooh, we can sell exotic North American plants when they close the base down, put them in the garden centre in pots, and we can sell them to people's shrubbery around Eastern England." No. The very night that Cobra Mist closed down, a team came in and took every single plant and all the soil. There's something about those plants. They were doing some plant DNA as interfered by the RF signal of an over-the-horizon radar, or something to do with the area of East Suffolk, bigger question, that made the plants classified and secret. Now, how does this all relate? A garden centre to David Grusch. Well, here I go. So, US Air Force Bentwaters, a frontline bomber base, and Woodbridge. Well, let me tell you a bit of a backstory. John Burroughs was security guard at both the bases. Very tight security because they had nuclear materials. They had warheads for these fighter planes, just in case the war did go nuclear. And there's a store at Bentwaters that's quite well known. It's quite an amazing looking building. That's not the truth. The truth is that the little base, Woodbridge, had a massive weapons store, not just for small anti-aircraft nukes, tactical weapons, but the big bombs, the hydrogen bombs of this world. There are special buildings that hold the core, the removable warhead hot bit, in these very specific containers that are at Woodbridge. It's so secret that when John Burroughs went back as a visit, he's often back at Woodbridge and Rendlesham for filming trips, he was told by the new historian at RAF Woodbridge, or now the kind of heritage site, no nuclear weapons were ever stored. Bollocks! He protected them. He guarded them with dogs. He knew they were there, and I've seen the storage rooms. I'm a member of this team called Subterranean Britannica, who look underground or look at Cold War sites. And I've seen pictures of the underground store that held the big cores for hydrogen bombs at Woodbridge. So that's Woodbridge's second secret. Fido, dog of war, Cardinal runway, lined up with Cobra Mist, and I can't even mention why, and nuclear weapons. But there's a third secret that's totally related to David Grusch, and that is, this is the US Air Force Space Recovery Team, based at Woodbridge. Large helicopters, their mission was to pick up crashed alien spaceships, Soviet, Chinese, or recover NASA capsules, which they practice with, using large heavy lift helicopters all over Europe, all over the North Atlantic. Their area was huge, and they had serious heavy lift capabilities. And it all came back to a very secret hangar where foreign alien crashed spaceships, literally Russian, were hidden before they were flown back to the US, probably to Wright-Patterson or other US-based bases. So yes, the US Air Force has space alien crashed recovery teams, and one of them just happened to be based at Woodbridge, right next to Ransom Forest. And yes, it is just possible that non-human material was recovered from crashed spaceships. This is interesting. The truth is out there.